Morning, it is morning. Here I'm in Glenboig, or near actually in Gartcosh Nature Reserve. And I'm just going for a little walk because I've woken up with a sore hip. This is a semi-frequent recurrence of what I experience in sciatica. Now this is something that can happen to me every so often. It could be from lack of training, it could be from overtraining, or it could be from new training. And today's is actually from new training, but I'll explain more as I go through. How I actually got this in the first place: when I was 14, I tore my sartorius muscle, which is a part of the hip that runs down the front of the hip, down the groin, and into the knee. Tore this at 14, and as you can imagine, I did no recovery, no rehab, no real process of getting better from that, apart from keep playing football and rugby and hope for the best. Obviously that didn't work out well. By the time I got to my mid-20s, this hadn't bothered me. But one day, around the age of 26, still in my youth and lack of wisdom, I tried to do a calisthenics progression on the pull-up bar, which resulted in a muscle tear in my glutes, right in the gluteus minimus, which is very high up towards the hip. And as I subsequently found out, for 1 out of every 10 people, the sciatic nerve runs through this part of muscle, and if you injure it, it can lead to sciatica. So I've got this little bit of a journey of this right hip having a few problems, resulting then, for the past 10 or 11 years, in infrequent bouts of sometimes extremely debilitating, sometimes very mild, mainly very mild sciatica. Usually how I manage this is through everything that I've done, everything that I create, and everything that I do with clients, which is daily mobility, challenging my body in all directions, through all movements, rotations, stretching, everything. Generally, as long as I'm practicing the splits and getting on the pull-up bar a couple times a week, I don't have a problem with sciatica. Today it's cropped back up. Why? I think it's because of new training. And now this would be the fact that I went running on Tuesday, which, as you can imagine, going from no running to running all of a sudden, there's going to be a real change in what my hip feels and what my muscles are experiencing this week compared to last week. Makes sense. But anyway, I've got pain. I've got 50 minutes before my first client of the day here in Glenboig. So I'm taking a walk. Now, what is the purpose of this walk? This walk is part of my self-assessment and self-treatment to deal with this injury today. Because it's Thursday, I'm scheduled to mobilise and sprint again today. So sprinting the second time this week is what I've scheduled. Now, when I look back on that plan that I sort of did in my head at the start of the week, planning to run twice this week, having not run for 9-10 weeks. So I'm going from 0 to twice in a week. Now, if you're working with me one-to-one, you'll know that I don't let people progress that way. So it's kind of strange that I thought that would be appropriate for myself. However, if there is no pain and if it's safe, then I'll do so. So this walk that I'm on now is a check-in. It's my way of feeling into the body, seeing what this hip actually feels like. So I've been up quite early, I've been in the car, already sat down. I'm about to sit down a little bit through this first session of the day, so by the time I get home again after driving, I think I'll be sore again. So this walk is intended to let me warm up a little bit, get some extra activity in that I wasn't expecting, and also check in with how I feel. When it comes to later, I'll be starting my mobility as if I was going running, but with absolutely zero pressure, knowing fine well that if it doesn't feel right, I shouldn't run today, and I should engage in some extra activities to make my hip feel better and make sure I'm in a better condition for when the next time I'm scheduled to run, which is Tuesday. So I've actually got loads more recovery time, because that might be all I need. This is how I usually go about self-treating and self-assessing injuries, is that I've got to make space to see how it feels, and then I'm going to take some action. That action might be no action, it might be rest, but I'm always inclined to practice mobility, either static or mobilizing movements to help me then regain how I feel. Because even as I'm walking now, I do feel the tightness as I'm walking. And I thought this was an interesting topic today to bring to the table because I just woke up with it. And it's very common actually for all of us to have aches and pains, and they can have a really negative impact on people. But I wanted to show that for me today, it's just a case of, okay, I had a plan. I was scheduling to run for the second time. Maybe that was a bit overambitious. And also, now that I've found a problem, I can still take progressive action today by putting extra mobility work into my hips and accepting that I might need to walk rather than run. And that's kind of like a little bit of a simple message of wisdom is don't run until you can walk.